Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Good day. It is good to be in your midst. I am very happy. This is Tembela Maths Club, and Tembela Maths Club is a club that is run by Tembela Maths Consulting. This is a consulting enterprise that helps learners to understand mathematics. So we believe that there exists a solution. Just as you can see with our logo, there is this click sign here, which is there exist. And then when you read it together, it says Tembela Maths Consulting, there exists a solution. So we believe that whatever maths problem that you have, there is a solution for that problem. So if you ever find yourself in a problem with mathematics that you need help with, you can come to Tembela Maths Club TMC, and then you can be able to reach out to us on this email address, tembelamats@gmail.com, tembelamats@gmail.com. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let us get to the crux of the matter of the reasoning why we are here. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to do quadratic equations. Very in particular, we are going to look at how you solve quadratic equations using quadratic formula. There are many ways of solving quadratic equation. You can solve it by factorizing, you can solve it by completing the square, but in this particular case, we are interested and we are looking directly at how you can actually solve it using a quadratic formula. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mqondisi Machaba, and I am a mathematics consultant at Tembela Maths, and then I'm the one who's going to run this session as we are speaking to you. And thank you very much for tuning in. Now, before we start, ladies and gentlemen, let us start with a quote. A quote comes from a wise man by the name of Drake, and it says the following: never let success get into your head, and never let failure get into your heart. And that is said by Drake. So, ladies and gentlemen, if it happens by any chance that you get to understand mathematics so well, please do not be puffed up in such a way that you cannot be able to help other learners so that they can also understand mathematics. Do not be that kind of a person. Always try to find a way in which you can be able to assist your fellow comrades, your fellow learners, your fellow classmates, so that they can also understand mathematics. And if it happens that you are in this position where you do not understand, you must not let that come into your heart. You must keep on trying different ways of solving problems in mathematics, and I can assure you, you will definitely be able, if you try hard enough, you will be able to get your mojo in mathematics. Ladies and gentlemen, let's continue. Now, at the end of this session, we should be able to answer the following questions. There are 4 questions in total. And then the first question is, what is a quadratic equation? Second question is, how to identify a quadratic equation? Question number 3 is, what is a standard form? Don't worry about it, we'll talk about it when we get there. And then the last question is, how to use a quadratic formula to solve quadratic equation. That's the ultimate goal to all of these things. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let us go forward. What is a quadratic equation and how do we identify it? A quadratic equation is an equation in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Now, a must not be equal to 0. B and c must be the element of real numbers. So what does this mean? This simply means that B and C can be any number. It can be a negative number, it can be a positive number, and it can also be 0. It can be a square root of whatever, a decimal, we don't care. It can be anything. And then on the other side, when you are talking about A, this one, it can also be a negative number or a positive number or a decimal number. We do not care as long as it is not 0, because if it's going to be 0, it is going to collapse this. It is going to collapse this, and then we'll end up having something else which is not a quadratic equation. Now, the most important thing about a quadratic equation, which is an identifier for it, is that the highest power must be what? It must be 2. Let's have an example. We've got 2x squared plus 5x plus 4 is equal to 0. And then from this, we can see that this is a quadratic equation because the highest power is 2. And then we can be able to find the value of A, which is this, the value of B, which is this, and the value of C, which is this. We can only find these values if we have put these things into this form, but we'll talk more about that later. Now let's look at this one. Now there's a question with this one. First question is that, is this a quadratic equation? Is this a quadratic equation? Now let's look at it closely. It does not look like a quadratic equation. It doesn't look like a quadratic equation because it is not in this form precisely so. So let's look at it closely. Okay, yeah, it is. Now, what is the highest power? The highest power is what? Let's look at it here. It is. The highest power is 2. So there we go. The highest power is 2. So if the highest power is 2, then what does this mean? It means that this is what? A quadratic equation. So it is a quadratic equation, but it does not look like a normal quadratic equation, quote unquote. Now, what do I mean by normal quadratic equation? I simply mean a normal in a sense that a normal is a quadratic equation that is in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. Now, a normal quote-unquote quadratic equation is referred to as a standard form. So when they are talking about a standard form of a quadratic equation, this is the equation that they are referring to. Are you getting it? I think you guys are getting it. You can always pause this video and then always continue. You can even rewind it if there's something that you don't understand, but eventually you will get to it. Now let's continue, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's get our hands dirty. Now let's look at this equation. And then so what we're going to do firstly, we're going to take this number. First of all, what is it that you are trying to achieve? We are trying to make sure that this equation is in a standard form so that we can be able to get our A, B, and C. So we're going to take this 4 and this 4. And then when we take this 4, we're going to put it to this side. And then we're going to end up with something like this. 2x squared plus 6x minus 4 is equal to 0, which is a standard form. And then in that way, we can be able to get a value of A, a value of B, and a value of C. Now, how do we solve these equations using quadratic equations? Now, step number 1, we need to identify A, B, and C. Step number 2, we need to write the formula as it is, and the formula that you use in this particular case is this formula, which is x is equal to minus b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac, all divided by what? All divided by 2a. And then we need to substitute appropriate values into the formula. That is step number 3. And then step number 4, we need to solve. And then step number 5, we need to report your answer. So ladies and gentlemen, let us put this into practice. Here is an equation. What did we say in step number 1? Step number 1, what is it? Step number 1? Step number 1, we need to identify A, B, and C. Now, I want you to stop this video and get your own A, B, and C. And then after that, you must then play this video again. Then you will see your A, B, and C, and see if your A, B, and C are the same as my A, B, and C. There we go. A is equal to 1, B is equal to 5, C is equal to 4. We have identified A, B, and C, and then we need to write the formula as it is. That is step number 2, and then step 3 and substitute. So we're going to do these steps together. Here is a formula, and then here is our substitution, and then take this thing as it is, take it and put it in the calculator, and then you will be able to get an answer. We'll do step 4 and 5 together, solve and report, and then we'll get x is equal to 1 or x is equal to minus 4. And there we go. That is our answer. So we were able to use this formula, a quadratic formula, to solve quadratic equations. Ladies and gentlemen, let us conclude. Now, when we conclude, we need to look at what is it that we wanted to achieve, what were our objectives, and then we must look at whether we were able to meet our objective, were we able to achieve what we wanted to achieve. What did we want to achieve? First question, what is a quadratic equation? Yes, we were able to answer these questions. A quadratic equation is an equation in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. How to identify a quadratic equation? That was objective number 2. And then we did say that we identify a quadratic equation by what? We identify a quadratic equation by a highest power, which is what? Which is 2. And then a third objective was, what is a standard form? A standard form is a form of ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. We're able to figure it out, and how to solve a quadratic using a formula, how to use a formula to solve quadratic equation. We did go through that, and then we were able to tell ourselves that, look, you need to identify A, B, and C. And then number 2, you need to then write the formula as it is. The formula is x is equal to minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. And then after that, we need to substitute into the formula, and then we need to put the formula into a calculator and then come up with our answer. Now, if there are any questions, you guys are welcome to put it down here below, and then I will be able to answer those questions as much as I can. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here are some nibbles that you guys can go through. Now, what is this? This is something to play with while you guys are at home. This is your homework. Now, I want you guys to do number 1 up to number 5. And then now there's an interesting one in number 6. Look at that very well and see if you can be able to answer it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in. And this recording was proudly brought to you by Tembela Maths Club, TMC, which is a club that is run by Tembela Maths Consulting. There exists a solution, and that club can be contacted by the email, which is tembelaMaths@gmail.com. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. And you can go and like our page, Tembela Maths Consulting, and then you will be able to be taken through some of our work, and you can be able to contact us as well. Thank you very much, and goodbye.